I was hoping we didn't have to see another tired husband cheats plotline, but as soon as I saw Margarita on screen, I knew. I was like, that man is folding like a flip phone.
I wish you had more time.
All right, we're back with episode 3 of Apple TV's Cape Fear, and they are really trying to make me think that Max Cady is innocent. We finally start to see some of the strings that get pulled to mess with the Bowden family. It always starts light and then progressively gets more direct and more intrusive. And here we start with like just neighbors in the pool or strangers in the pool. So, like a proper Southern gentleman, Tom goes and gets the pistol before he goes out and greets his uninvited guests, who apparently were invited by Tom. I think the fact they calling him Tommy and the use of Tommy and how he like bristles at that and says Tom. I think there's something going on with Tommy and his childhood, and we're probably going to dive into that. But this is what Cape Fear and traditionally Max Cady does. It's always the sprinkling of intrusion and invasiveness that progressively gets worse to throw the Boldens off and just encapsulate them in fear. Now, why this family has a state-of-the-art security system with very loud and obnoxious alarm, but they don't lock their back gate, I don't know. I don't know why. It's beyond me and my impoverished peasant mind, I guess. This scene adds more fuel to the idea that the Boldens are actually the bad guys, and the traditional roles of Cape Fear are switched in this series. In other versions, the Boldens use violence as a last resort. They've gone through every legal means to deal with Max Cady, and they're pushed to a point where now they have to go outside the law and choose violence. But here, when Tom tells the man to leave, and the man responds with, or what, Tom immediately resorts to violence. And he does tack on the fact that it is technically legal after the fact, but he resorts to violence as if that was already going to be the thing. He's like, I'm going to rip you apart. He didn't say I'm going to call the cops. He didn't say I'm going to have you removed. He didn't say anything like that, like you think a lawyer might say. He was like, I will rip you apart. And then just as an added afterthought, he was like, this is a stand your ground state. So it would be legal. I'll get away with it, basically. And there are other clues that suggest the roles are flipped. When we meet up with Max, he's in the park eating ice cream, minding his business, when a woman who's obviously a fan walks up to him. And this is another scene that's a total reversal of what we would come to expect from Cape Fear and the Max Cady character. In both the 91 and 62 versions, Max Cady is a ladies' man, and he approaches women, has no problem picking them up, and then afterwards they become a victim of his violent rage. This scene is the total opposite. Not only is this woman the pursuer, but Cady seems completely uninterested in her. And when she becomes persistent, he gives her what she's asking for. He basically becomes the version of Max Cady that she has in her head. He became the monster you wanted, and then when you got it, you didn't like it. And I think that is emblematic of his whole outlook throughout the series. When we get to Anna, she's being spy mom. She has cloned her son's phone so she can figure out who he's been talking to, and this somehow worked. Like, even though she deleted part of the conversation that included stuff that he actually sent, and it was in no way thought of as weird to ask somebody to send a picture of their food, and then they use that picture to figure out where the person was. Yeah, cool, fine. And to her surprise, it's not Max Cady there. It is actually a girl who does actually sell drugs. Now, the way Anna deals with Nevaeh is similar, but also different to the way Tom dealt with the pool people. Anna didn't go straight to violence. She went straight to the law, but at the same time, just like Tom, she's weaponizing it to get what she wants. But that little moment at the end where she suggests a shelter might be the distinction between her and Tom. Like Tom in the first episode said, he's a good lawyer, she's a good person. So this might be like a small nod to that and her having some sort of conscience and being like not a total evil person like Tom definitely is. But this also might be like a check off a box for her just to justify her doing bad things. She like, I'm gonna put a little honey on the end of it. Just, like I'm a little southern lady, so I'm gonna give you vinegar, but I'm gonna throw a little honey on it at the end to like make it go down a little easier. That might be the thing. The question is the girl working for Max Cady or is she working for somebody else? Because now Anna has to go on a small road trip to help Max with his settlement, and taking 40% of that man's money is criminal. And it's probably accurate, but it's also criminal. The fact that CCH Pounder's character is almost drooling at the idea of getting this money, and no one besides Max brings up the ethical nature of taking this much of this man's money is very telling for me. She does work her lawyer magic to get it from a little bit over $1 million to over $4 million. But by the time it touch all the hands it got to touch before it get to Max, Max might see $1 million of that money. That's crazy. And while Anna and Max are gone, we see Tom take Nick Nolte's role from the 91 version up several notches, where he's far too close to a female co-worker and subordinate, and has the unmitigated gall to bring this lady into the house, take drugs with her, and be snuggled up on the couch in y'all house with y'all son home. What are we doing? There is not one redeeming quality about that man, which is fine. That's the story they're telling. But as much as I love seeing Margarita on screen, can we please find another way to tell the audience that this man is trash without a cheating subplot? The thing with the daughter makes no sense whatsoever. She's going to a pool party, so she wants to wear a 30-year-old dress to this pool party. So when I asked myself why she would want to wear this 30-year-old dress, I had to also ask myself why this woman would keep a dress for 30 years when, by her own admission, it has no real significance to her, unless she's lying. But why? So I just let it go. She goes to a party to seduce her best friend, and a video comes out of her stretching by the pool. So someone flew a drone over her home, recorded a video of her stretching by the pool, hacked into her social, and sent that video out so everybody thinks it was posted by her. All of that understandable. All of that is an extreme invasion of privacy, and to be the girl, understandably how embarrassed and shocked you'd be to be a victim of that. Totally understandable. What does not make sense to me is all the other kids and their reaction. Listen, it's 2026. So you're telling me that Savannah is so conservative and so repressed that a bunch of kids at a pool party would see an unremarkable yoga video posted of a girl and ridicule and laugh and make fun of her for that? What are we doing? I mean, maybe I'm not 17, but that just, I don't buy it. Nevaeh shows up at this pool party, ends up seducing the daughter. The daughter takes drugs and ended up kissing old girl. Now, Nevaeh shows up and knows exactly what buttons to push to manipulate the daughter. The question is not whether or not she's part of the larger scheme, because she definitely is. The question is she working for Cady or is she working for somebody else? Now that Anna and Max are headed back, they have to stop at this motel because the storm is just too it's just too strong. And look, I'm fine. It's a fine plot reason to get them to pull over and stop and have a moment. It's just, for me personally, I've made this drive from Atlanta to Savannah 100 times. It's a 3.5, 4 hour drive. And yes, Savannah gets a lot of storms. And when there's a hurricane or a strong storm in Florida, Savannah gets a lot of rain and sometimes floods. But never, ever has the rain been so intense that I had to stop and pull over for the night, presumably. You may have to pull over because you can't see for 5 to 10 minutes. But this is, but like I said, 99% of people don't know, don't care. It's fine. It was just for me and my own personal experience. It was like, this has never happened. But while they're at the motel, a woman who's been following Max shows up and knocks on Anna's door thinking that it's Max. And Max brushes off as another like crazy fangirl. But it's much more than that. By the time they get back home, we see that the woman has broken into Max's house, left a very old TV with a VHS inside, and there's a package on the table. And when the TV plays, the mask comes off and we realize it's Juliette Lewis, which I guess continues the tradition of bringing actors from the previous iteration into the current iteration of Cape Fear. Because both Robert Meacham and Gregory Peck from the 62 version had roles in the 91 version. So now that Juliette Lewis was in the 91 version, giving her a role in this modern version makes sense. I love a good tradition. Juliet's character sings a song that sends Max into a rage, rips open the package, and realizes a dog collar in there. And for a second, I thought he was about to be compelled to put it on. And we get flashes of what seems like a young Max in a cage. So whenever we get the flashback of his childhood or whatever, it's going to be depressing and devastating. I can already tell. So I'm going to guess that this is Max's sister, and I'm going to guess that she's the one doing all of this. Because whenever something happens that we assume and attribute to Max, he always has an alibi. Like he either has an alibi or he was still in jail, and it's like not ironclad that he couldn't have done it, but it leaves just enough doubt. So it makes sense for the sister to be the one who killed the wife. Max went to jail for it, and then she made that lady shoot herself twice because when she has the earbud and somebody's talking to her when in between the first and the second time, I don't really think it could have been Max because if he's calling somebody from prison, those calls are recorded, so they would know. And then also the sister is behind Nevaeh because she's the one trying to get revenge on behalf of Max. Like she's protecting and obsessed with Max. That might, that might work. But if this is the case and Max is 100% innocent in the past and the present, and the sister and the Boldens are the monsters, that's going to probably have something really interesting to say about the justice system and how innocent people get caught up in the justice system and what that can do to a person, and the ideas of obsession, and the idea of, innocent people can be subject and victims of the justice system, while powerful, not so good people can manipulate it for their own gain. We could have all those conversations, and those would be, and this would be an interesting way to have that conversation. I don't know if it's still Cape Fear, though. I don't know if it's the central themes and point of the Cape Fear story. But I guess that's something really interesting for us to discuss and debate over. So I guess we'll see. We're only 3 episodes in, so there's still a lot more story to tell. So we'll find out soon. But let me know what you think. Let me know what you think so far. Do you think Max Cady is the one behind all of this, or do you think it's the sister, or do you think it's a combination of both? Like Max Cady is hunting the Bowdens, and the sister is hunting Max Cady. What do you think? Let's get to it down in the comments, and I'll catch you guys next time.